Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Hey, guys, we are talking about ESO, the state of the game. Pretty excited about the stream today. I think you guys probably are as well. A couple of things here. You guys have mentioned, a lot of people have said to me, hey, are talking about copium streams, copium streams. This was not intended to be a copium stream. But if there's a lot of requests for it, we could do that. We could get on some cope here. So we'll give everybody a minute to get in here, and maybe I'll a put up a poll and see what everybody has to say. I think that would be a good idea, and see if we want to do a copium stream or not. Let me just go ahead and start that here, and I'll wait till we get a handful of people coming in. What I want to talk about though is the current state of ESO. A little bit about what we've been through, what's happened, and then the future as well, what we're looking forward to. And I will say that even without this being a copium stream, that hey Vin, what's going on? That I really think that despite what a lot of people might think or feel right now, I actually think there's reason to be positive about the future of ESO within some reasonable bounds, right? And most of my streams too on this like whole idea of like, the copium streams or what have you is like that's not me normally, guys. I don't want to be negative. I don't think anybody really well, some people maybe do, but I don't think most people want to be negative. I certainly don't. But it is a question of like, but I do want to look at things objectively, realistically, and that's really what I wanted to do today. But if we get a lot of people that would like to get on that copium, we can do that. Let me see here. All right, how do we want to phrase this? Well, let me see. I don't know. Would you like this to be a copium stream? It's a yes or no question. I think that works. We'll see. We'll let some more people get in here. Hello. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. And I only know how to do this, guys, on YouTube. I actually don't know how to do this on Twitch, so hope you'll forgive me. All right. Well, let's just go ahead and get in here and start talking about it. So, kind of one of the first things that we should talk about is why would I do this? Well, there's a couple of reasons, but I think one of the major ones is, it's the question of like, can we can we trust the studio lead studio oh, I forgot what his title is, but can we just trust the studio more generally to give us like a good current state of the game, what's happening, what we can expect for the future? And I think within reason, the answer to that is no, not really. And I can make a case for that later. Again, it's a little bit depressing, so I don't necessarily want to go into it, but I do have a handful of things. So a couple of questions that I think a lot of people have, it always comes up is like, is ESO dying? We've addressed this before, but I'll address it again now. So the short answer is like, no, absolutely not. The thing is that MMOs, games like this, don't really die. If they do, it's a very slow death. Okay, and we've talked about, or in the past, two people have you probably heard it said that like, oh, the only thing that could kill WoW is WoW, right? The only thing that can kill, the game that people like is the people making the game. And I think generally speaking that is true. But we've seen even with the issues with Blizzard in the past that it still hasn't killed WoW. Okay, there are still a lot of people playing World of Warcraft, and I think that again, games like this, I don't know if it's a sunk cost fallacy. I think it probably just has to do with like, hey, if you've been playing a game for a long time, you enjoy it, your chances of continuing to enjoy it are pretty high, right? Like you actually, and there's potentially a lot there to like. I think for new players in ESO in the current 2025, there's an insane amount of content, just like most MMOs. And it's actually presented in a way that I don't think is too overwhelming to most new players. It is if you enter with the idea of like, hey, I really want to like get to this stage or I want to have all this stuff, then absolutely, like that's a crazy amount of work. There's going to be a ton of grinding and everything else, and it just gets a little out of control. But I don't think that's the case for most people. Hey, Leighton. Also, Leighton, if you're there, and actually to all the channel members, I just want to say Leighton's the latest person joining, but I just want to say thank you guys, and I really appreciate all of the support here on YouTube. You know, becoming a channel member is it's a really the best way to support me here on YouTube and allow me to keep making videos like this, and I just really appreciate it. So is ESO dying though? No. And if a game like ESO, if an MMO does, start to die or whatever, it's a incredibly slow, very long process. And I think that there's various people that have looked at the data and said like, oh, the trend line is down. It is, but the thing is that if the studio does better, does the right thing, that could just as well go up. It's not a case, and it's also not a sharp decline or anything like that. I do think that we have evidence of crown sales or profitability going down for ESO. One of the ways that we can clearly see that is this last patch that happened. When they originally announced it and they were leading into the patch, they actually made it where, or were going to make it where you could not purchase the newest like chapter with crowns, and you would have to pay cash. And then we all got really upset and they changed it. No, the poll is not up yet, Lyriel. I was just letting some more people get in here. How many are we up to here? We're getting there. We'll wait till we got about 20 people or so in chat, and then we'll throw up that poll and see what everybody thinks. So, what was I saying? I'm sorry, I distracted myself. Yeah. So one of the ways is like if everybody has a bunch of crowns and they're not spending them. So crowns are money that they already have. They don't care what you do with them, but they need to keep generating more money. And there could be reasons why they really wanted to generate more money. But, like it could be because they just sold to Microsoft. And oftentimes for these kind of things, there's like, hey, if you maintain profitability for the next X years, as the transition is happening, you get bonuses or whatever. Or it could just be general compensation. Compensation could have changed with the buyout with Microsoft, any number of things. But what it does tell us for sure is that, crown sales, there's probably an excess of crowns in players' inventory, and they really need more. They want more money. And so that's absolutely a thing. Hey, Kelvar, what's going on, man? Let me see. I don't think ESO is dying by any means. I do think oh my gosh. I do think interest from the game community has peaked. The game can stay steady. There will be interest, but it won't really grow beyond what it is. Yeah, so Kelvar, that's one of the major things I want to talk about, because I actually think that there is a strong possibility, and there's a lot of evidence that the game could actually keep getting better. Now, the real question is, will other games come out that are mobeta, that are more enjoyable? Will players go to other things? I absolutely agree with you that like it does seem to have stalled, but my point is just that could be a temporary thing. And I think that what this is, I mean, it's largely a media thing, right? It's largely their communication department. It's largely the community managers, the community team at ZeniMax that is, and maybe we'll switch like this. I'll be a little bit larger. Is this better, guys? I just kind of have the general background here because I can't actually be in the game, because if I ever tab out of the game, it now, after the recent update, it like bugs my audio. It's just ESO. It's not anything else. But I do think that, they had this big thing that they did last year, and then now it's like, well, now what? And then they're like, okay, we're reassessing. We're like gonna we're gonna have less features, and we are going to, try to fix the game. I honestly think that what has actually happened is that, yes, they did this really cool thing, and everybody was really hyped for it, and sure, there's going to be a little bit of a withdrawal after that, but it doesn't need to last a year. It doesn't need to last for a very long time. I think that it is more a case of, how do I say this? I think it's not so much that, we might hold that thought. I might put a pin in that thought actually until we get a little bit further in, because I have some thoughts on it, and there's some things that I want to actually like read and show you guys. So time out on that thought. We'll come back to it. All right. So yeah, ESO Not dying. Absolutely, you could say it's stagnant, even going downhill at the moment. That's fair to say. I think a lot of people are like, yeah, we finally got scribing. Scribing was their big thing. And in theory, that was like, this is their best work, right? 10th year anniversary, this is the best work they can do. And you know what? I think for a lot of us, like it's probably a healthy thing to realize that, yeah, and I think most people have, that this is the current state of the game. The way the game is right now is the way it is, and probably the way it's going to continue to be. Hey Ella. Ella says, I commend the devs for making such a late in the game attempt to shake up content and content release expectations, trying to avoid the same old stuff, uh, burnout, burnout we often faced. Hope it works. LOL. Yeah, Ella, I like that. I like that take. I'm a little bit more pessimistic than that, if I'm being honest, on how I read things. But I do think, and I say that, you know, I do think there's some really good things. We should keep moving. Let me keep moving. I got notes over here, guys, because I want to make sure I go through all this. I want to make sure I don't miss anything. So I'm gonna keep referencing them if I can. Okay. Is ESO because there's is ESO actually entering its golden age, right? Like, is that's the other question I have. And I think that most longtime players of ESO who are not on the copium are probably going to say no. But I do think that some people might feel that way. I really do. And I don't think that's certainly an invalid way to feel or to think. What's up, Spark? It's entering its dying age. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I know that a lot of people feel that way. I really don't think that's the case, but yeah, that's fair. It's a totally valid way, a valid way to feel. All right, let's put up the poll. All right, I'm gonna start it now, guys. We only have 13, 14 people in the chat right now, and I'm sorry about the handful of folks over on Twitch that I don't know how to do it over there. But the question is, should we turn this into a copium stream? Because a bunch of people asked or even assumed that this was going to be a copium stream, and if that's what you guys want, I'm happy to do it. I got Mrs. Harrow is on standby to fix me up some cope. I got our I got our official copium sticker. It's right here. So if that's what you guys want, I'm happy to deliver. So just let me know. We'll give it a second. So far, we've got 100% no. Everybody vote. Get in there and vote. What is a copium stream? Oh, I'm sorry. So copium is a fictional substance. Hopefully, some of you or a lot of you hopefully are vaguely familiar with that. But it's like it's a make believe word, and copium is like, oh yeah, like just seeing everything with rose tinted glasses. Just everything is like you're coping. You're like oh no, ESO is entering its golden age. For sure, 100%, no question about it. Kind of like a fully positive stream. And you know what? I probably would, as I'm doing that, I try to keep it honest to that 100% positivity. Hey, Nani. But there also might be a few tongue-in-cheek things. But that's the question. Nani, vote. We need your vote, Nani. Should we turn this into a copium stream? Oh no, most people are saying no. Okay. All right. So it's not dying. I really don't think ESO is dying. I don't think when people say it's dying too, I think probably what they mean is something far more nuanced than just is it dying. And I think also a lot of times what they're trying to convey is like, hey, I'm not happy with the current state of things. I think it could be better, and I think that is 100% a valid take to have. Guys, we're at 88% no over here. uh Oh man. Okay. All right. Looks like we're probably not going to do a copium stream unless people get in and vote and change the outcome. Is it entering its golden age? I actually think so. So I don't think so, but I do think that there again, and we'll get into the specifics, but I do think there's a lot of things that ZOS is not getting credit for, and honestly, that's their own fault, right? Like, but I think there's some really good things that those of us who are still playing have to look forward to. And that's really the whole reason that I wanted to do this stream, is because I don't think, because a lot of people are feeling like, yeah, they did the big thing last year. That's all there is to it. And like, there's nothing else to look forward to. And like, what are they going to do? And they're just, we're not going to get new content or whatever. And I just don't think that's the case. I actually think that there are some things worth looking forward to with the game. genuinely. And I am the person who oh my gosh, who generally is not of, again, I try to be very realistic. I try to be very honest and everything else. So, um, Spark says the cancellation of 2025 IRL event spoke volumes. Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. I've actually got that in my notes here, Spark. Hey, Sniper, it's good to see you, man. Okay. Uh, Fourth thing before we get into the pros and the cons, or the good and the bad, I guess, not the pros and the cons, the good and bad, um, is that actually no, I'm going to save that. I'm saving that too. That's putting here twice. We're going to go ahead and move on. Let's talk about those things that we. All right, we're into the poll. We're ending the poll. It's at like 77 said no. 22 said yes. We're not doing a copium. I will do more copium streams in the future. It seems like people have wanted it. So I will make sure that we get one on the books at some point. So let's talk about the good, though. So I know for a lot of my friends, we're on PC. This will not matter to you, like meaningfully. But for the console folks, they are finally getting add ons. And sure, they don't have them yet. Sure, they have to be developed. But I think this is a huge step forward. And yes, there's going to be memory limitations, there already are, and things like that. But I think it's a huge step forward for quality of life for folks on console who have, honestly, I don't know if everybody has one. I think a lot of people have wanted them. I know there's some people that don't care or maybe feel like they actively don't want them. I get that feeling too, but I think this is a huge quality of life and not something that I think was incredibly trivial to make happen. Actually, I kind of know it wasn't incredibly trivial to make happen. So I actually think that is really cool. Now, maybe that just happened to align with Microsoft's plans moving forward for consoles or what have you. Sure, maybe it was, but regardless, it's coming or kind of is, I guess, technically already here. They can be developed at this point in the game. Freddie said, Sniper says, "What do you do on on stream Friday night?" Some people do different stuff. I usually start off it's a little bit outside we'll stay on topic here, but usually I try to do a handful of these kind of more conversational streams. Mondays and Fridays typically, Sniper. So, and I think a lot of people really enjoy them. So I'm trying to do a little bit more of them. Realish says, I want add-ons just for just to make the guild books. I have okay, 4.5k hours and never gotten all the Mages Guild skill line to 10. Okay, yeah. I'm picking up. Little typo there. No worries. I got you. Yeah. I mean, yeah, the add-ons just to be able to figure out where the books are at. I mean, gear add-ons, just to be able to put gear in and out of the bank, or even, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to like swap gear in content. I have no idea. I have kind of asked a few things, but I wasn't really planning on talking about it, so I didn't check with that specifically. But I think there's a ton of quality of life things that would just, honestly, they should be part of the base game, but they're add-ons, and so maybe they'll come that way, and then Zoss doesn't have to do the work, I guess. Kelvar says, is current console adaption rate going to cause issues for add-ons? I have a alt PS4 alt account. I main PC, but I have no plans to upgrade my console for ESO. Yes, I think the older generation might have a problem, and that's part of the reason they waited, Kelvar. I think the whatever the oldest generation of consoles, I think it could cause issues for or might not be made for. I think they decided they're going to drop support. So I don't know how old your PS4 is. Don't quote me on that, or maybe someone fact check me on that. Is that correct? Am I remembering that right, guys? I think I am. Okay, so consoles getting add-on. Sure. All the PC folks are like, hey, I don't care, Night Horror. Why are you talking about this? The second thing, PvP. Now, PvP is finally getting fixed. It's finally getting taken care of. Hey, Chicken, it's good to see you, man. Here's the thing, and I mentioned this the other day. Let's say my wife asked me to do something, right? And maybe she asked me to take out the trash. Or maybe it's something that is more of like a long-term thing. Like, hey, I really need you to clean out the garage, okay? It doesn't have to be today, it doesn't have to be tomorrow, but like in the next, can you just do it sometime in the near future? In 3 months, I've got to, there's a reason, okay? If I don't take out the trash today, or don't take out the trash, and then don't take out the trash tomorrow, and then don't take out the trash the third day, the fourth day, the fifth day. If on like the sixth or seventh day, I finally take out the trash, is my wife going to be happy that I finally did the thing that she asked for a week ago? I mean, the trash has been full. Sure, she could take it out, but in this case, we can't. Is she going to be happy, or is she going to be annoyed and kind of pissed off and like not really care? Like, cool, you finally did the thing I asked you to do a week ago, but now the house smells really bad, and the trash collection isn't. It was coming that day, and now it's not coming for several days. No, she's not going to be happy. And it's the exact same thing with ESO. It's like we've asked for the PvP stuff. It's been asked for years and years and years, and we've never got it. So on the one aspect, like I get why people are not excited. Here's the thing: the actual changes, though, if you can get over that, if you can get past that, you can look at the PvP changes, and so far it's looking really good. There has been minimal to like basically no lag, is what people have told me. I popped in, but I wasn't in a big group or anything. Responsiveness has been good. Now, there still is a long way to go. Like the skills are fairly basic. There's not a whole lot to it, but most stuff is turned off, right? But this was part of the plan. I have also been told by friends who are back-end developers, so programmers for games companies, large ones, that they feel like the approach that ZOS is taking is good. They're not saying it's the best thing in the world. They're not saying it's guaranteed the right thing, but like it at least makes sense, which not everything that ZOS has done in the past has made sense. So I think that there is a lot to be looking forward to, specifically with PvP. So I think that's one of the huge things, console players getting those add-ons, PvP potentially. I think it looks really hopeful, but potentially actually getting fixed. And I also think that with the PvP potentially getting fixed, what they've largely done, it seems like, for Cyrodiil, is they've separated out PvE and PvP, right? Because we have all new skills. The skills work totally different. They're not the same as PvE, totally different skills. Well, the kind of a nice like ancillary effect of that is that the PvE players, hopefully, and this is for both of us really, PvE and PvP players, hopefully sets, skills, and just everything in the game can stop negatively affecting the other side of the game when there's no reason for it. So most recently, the thing that comes to mind, probably not the most recent, but Wardens. They changed the way their polar winds worked so that maybe it's other morph, not of polar winds, but polar winds, we'll call it that, so that it doesn't heal the DPS morph, so that it doesn't heal you if it hits a target. So you can only use it to heal essentially when you're away from people at range or out of combat in PvE or PvP, I mean. But that means in PvE that it's basically useless as a heal. Incredibly situational, and it's just like, why do we do that? Well, the Warden was too strong. That skill was too strong in PvP. So if you're actually actively engaged with somebody, you can't just hit that skill to top off your health. Really weird choice. There's been countless buffs and nerfs mostly nerfs to various sets because like, oh, it works great in PvE, but it doesn't work well in PvP. It's causing problems, and vice versa. And so they've nerfed the hell out of sets. Hopefully that kind of thing will end up being a thing of the past. Let's catch up on these comments here. Sniper says they need to add more dungeons. I'm sick of doing the same ones. They get boring. Holy crap, Sniper. Sniper, there's like 50 dungeons, my dude. You're tired of doing all those dungeons? Man, there's only like 10 trials. I want them to make more trials, man. The Weremugel says, I thought the state of the game was Tamriel. Yeah, I guess that is kind of fair. If they're united, I suppose. Sniper's complaining about having to take out the trash. Kelvar says, do you mean PvP changes in general or the experimental changes? I mean the experimental changes, Kelvar. Yeah, which they say they're experimental. I think that they're just trying to keep people, they're going to move forward with them. there's no way they're doing all this work, and they're like, unless it just doesn't work. I think they just are calling them experimental so that people won't freak out when stuff doesn't work right. And when they do, I mean, so far it's been okay, but usually what they do is some really bad ideas. And usually there's those of us who know a lot about the game, oftentimes, like Spark Rip here, and many others who know more about the game than the developers themselves making the game know about their own game. And that's not me throwing shade. That's just objectively true. We've seen many cases of that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let me know, and I can give you one or two examples off the top of my head. There's countless examples, though. But if you don't believe me, I promise you, they really don't know as much about the game as the rest of us do, which is wild. I wish that wasn't the case. But I think they said that so that if they do things like that and people get upset, those who are kind of the fanboys, right, because they're kind of relying on the audience to like fight back against it, will be like, no, they said it's just experimental, don't get upset. That's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to hedge their bet and keep everybody calm. It's, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if ZOS were more transparent as a company, but they're not. So it's like, I'm have mixed feelings about it. It doesn't feel great, I'll say that. Zombie Jesus, man, dude, it's good to see you. It's been a while. He says the only fix they need for PvP is to get players into IC. IC is greater than 0. All right, that's fair. That's fair. All right. Oh, cool, Sniper. That's great, man. Your first bowling tournament's tomorrow. That's awesome, dude. Good luck, man. Yeah, drop by afterwards and let me know how it went if you have time. Zombie says classic ESO coming in. Just saying. Yeah, that's fair. Kelvar says I like the idea of changes personally, but I sense there will be a loud dissent though. So far, Kelvar, from all of the friends that I've talked to, they're cautiously optimistic about the changes. The biggest thing they've said is like, yeah, there's not really a whole lot going on. I talked to one, I was like, hey, should I go out there and do whatever? And I was kind of planning on it, but no one wants a streamer in their PvP group. And they were like, there's just not that much going on. Like, seems like skills are affecting like 2 or 3, maybe 4 people or something, somewhere in there. Kind of making groups like big ball groups might not be a thing in the future. We'll have to see. Most of the sets don't work or don't do anything. Very, very simplified. But the whole point of it was to just test, like, does this solve the problem with latency and lag and everything else? And so far what I've heard is absolutely yes, it does. I will say that on kind of server stability and stuff like that, it's pretty horrible right now. These events running on for PvE, it's pretty terrible. Let me see here. Where Moogle says need more scribing abilities. Yeah, we could use some tweaks to that. They put out scribing before it was finished, is what happened with scribing, I think, where Moogle. Awesome. Special Olympics, Ontario, Simcoe League. All right, awesome, dude. That's great to hear. All right, cool, man. And it's bowling, right? 9-pin. Is that what you're doing? Because you've talked about it before, man. I'm waiting for the overland difficulty increases. Yes, indeed. Indeed. Okay, so what about the third thing here? The third thing I think that we really have to look forward to, and I don't think is it that a lot of people are appreciating, is that, and I get it, and I'm skeptical too. I say this and I'm like disagreeing with myself in my head, but it seems like there is a hope. There's a twinkle, a glimmer of a hope that they might actually fix some of the bugs in the game. Now, they did put out that questionnaire. We covered it here on the channel. I did talk about it because I wanted to raise support for it for people to go in and put in their various bugs. I will say, and sorry, this is because it's not a Copium stream, guys. I have to give the other side, or the more realistic, grounded part. The way they asked and what they asked made me feel like they didn't understand the problem. I'm going to be honest. Pick 5 things. There's so many more than that, and it's not that one thing is broken and bugged that affects 50 different places in the game or whatever. The real thing is that, and also by them saying pick the top 5, instead of like you have to give a bullet pointed list, give as many as you want, that's how they would collect data if they wanted to fix everything. That's how I would, at least, right? I would just say it has to be in this format. I'm totally fine with that. I think it's totally fine. But if you want to list 50 things, if you want to give me hours and hours of free labor of your time playtesting our game for free. We will accept your feedback. Give me as many comments as you want. That's not what they did. They said, give us your top 5. And that implies to me that, like, you're not going to get everything. Give me your top 5. We'll combine them all and we'll decide which things we're going to fix. The thing is, I don't know that there's a couple of things that maybe you could argue is the same bug. I don't even know if it is. It's really hard for us that are not programmers, even though I have some programming knowledge. It's nearly impossible for someone without at least a little bit of programming knowledge to even kind of understand when things are the same bug and if it's happening in the same place, or that aren't, really nerds or whatever. And so for them to just be like, yeah, give us your top 5, that makes me think that they're not trying to fix the core issues. They're trying to maybe kind of appease us, and they're willing to spend X amount of hours on it. And then whatever happens, they're going to be like, yep, we did what we could. We'll come back and we'll do more in the future, but we think we did a great job. ZOS is really good about congratulating themselves on what a good job they did. It's pretty funny. 5-pin Woodstock. Okay. I know so little bit about bowling, but that's really cool, man. I'll Google that later. New Necro IA set, waiting for that update. Okay. Says they'll fix bugs, makes the gatherable insects look better. Yeah. Did they do that, Weremoogle? I'm sure you're giving that specific example because they actually did that. I have seen that continually, and I understand that it's a different group. Like, fixing the bugs is like the programmers, for the most part, and that, like, making the gatherable insects look better. But yeah, it's horrible. I've seen in the patch notes where, like, there's been horrible problems with the game, and they're like, then I read in the patch notes that there's a badger. This is a literal example in Blackwood that, like, was clipping through a tree, I think, whenever it was, like, scratching its back, or it wasn't properly interacting with a snake or something, and they fixed that. And you're like, cool. The badger looks a little bit better and interacts with the tree or the snake or something a little bit better. I don't remember. I'm convoluting. I don't remember exactly what it was, but, like, what about block not working? And then when there is bugs like the DK banner that was broken and you could infinitely stack it, and it made things that were really funny, and it was totally fine. They freaked out about it and fixed it in like 24 hours or something. And then there's block bug was broken for like months after that. And it was just like, yeah, we're not really worried about that. We'll get the next patch. And it's so frustrating. Their whole take and their whole approach to bugs is just like, it's batshit crazy is what it is. Remember when they set aside a whole quarter of the chapter for bug fixes? What got fixed? Zombie, dude. Zombie, man. Dude, you're stealing my thunder, dude. I was going to talk about that later, man. But yeah, we could talk about it now. Yeah, absolutely. They've done this and they haven't fixed enough. And it's a problem. And again, I would use the, taking out the trash analogy, right? One of the things that happens, man, we're still on positive things. Hold on. I gotta keep this positive. Give me your top 5 issues means they might adjust things that annoy people the most as a band-aid and see how and see say like, wow, look at us. Yeah, exactly, Kelvar. 100%, man. You hit the nail on the head there. They're like, hey, well, tell us the top 5 things. We'll see about fixing it, and then we'll expect you to congratulate us, and we'll certainly congratulate ourselves at what a good job we've done. They still never fix Blast Bones running around randomly but not doing anything. Zombie, dude. Zombie just dropping facts. Okay. Daedric was complaining about that just the other day when we were talking about a trifecta group he was in, where it's like, it's kind of hard playing Crow because there's certain skills that just don't quite work right. Okay. So my point, though, we're keeping it positive on this part. They might actually fix some of the bugs. I think that's a great thing. I'm excited to see it. I will say, again, as the measured response to that I think them fixing bugs, I think part of what has happened is that the outcry has gotten louder, and as people have moved away, because now the excitement of the newest, the scribing has gone away. I think that, and you can see from the numbers, less people are playing. Sales are down. We know that the money is going down, or at least we're not going up the way they want it to. And so we have to realize that them wanting to like fix these things is really just a method of appeasement. I don't think there's one person in the ZOS leadership, not at the company. I don't think there's one person in the ZOS leadership that feels like they want to fix the game, because the game should work right, and because that would make them proud. I think that they are way too self-congratulatory for that. They already think they're doing a great job. They know they're doing a good job, and they're doing the best they can. And we can see that, guys. I will show that clearly in their like end of year letters where they do that. So, just realize that, like, are they going to fix all the bugs in the game? I would love it. Maybe they will, but I seriously doubt it. Okay. We talked about maybe the PvE issues with them affecting each other might go away. Now, the stuff that they've broken and messed up, I don't think they're going to revert. I don't even think they have change logs to do that if they wanted to. I don't think. I mean, there might be a couple of people at the company that know what they would change back, but by and large, like, I don't think that's possible. I don't think that's going to happen. So, what about distance sniper? No, I just meant like I'm not sure what you mean, sniper. I think I was just saying like drop in on digitally on the channel or something, man. Or I'll check out what you're doing. Yeah, because I don't know what the 5-pin Woodstock was, man. That's all. Sorry, guys, a little bit off topic there. Realish says you got a discard for PCNA. I'm CP 135 tank, looking to gear farm and do vet dungeons. I'm tired of randoms that run through and pull everything. Hey, Realish, we do have a Discord, man. You can find it if you go to like the homepage, my homepage on YouTube. You can find a link to the Discord. We don't typically do gear farms, but we do help people get into trials. We're mostly a trials guild where we help people get into trials. There has in the past been more dungeon groups going on. You could maybe find some folks, but it's not the core thing that we focus on. And right now, I think the dungeons, the dungeon groups, I don't think it's incredibly active. But yeah, man, you're welcome. You could probably find a better guild, but we'd love to have you. We have help channels too if you have questions about anything or what have you, and you might be able to find some peeps. So, man, we have a looking for group channel. At least you could ping in there and see if there's anybody who's interested, because you might get some for sure. But gear farming is kind of like a more newer player focused thing, and we're not really like a new player guild that would help you get gear and stuff like that. That's just not what we're set up for, man. And you could definitely find one that would be better in that regard. If you're looking to like learn trials and stuff like that, though, absolutely, it's the right place for you. Nani says there's several core groups going right now, dungeon core groups. Never mind, I don't know. Nani's in charge of the Discord. I'm just the figurehead. Where Moogle says, no, I was just saying it would literally be fixing a legit real life bugs. Oh, 'twas a pun. I misunderstood. Though I wouldn't be surprised if they did do that. Yeah, I just thought you were referencing something like the Badger, man. I'm sorry. Still mad they changed Tormentor set, where Moogle says. Yeah. Well, I think that's another example of them just not caring or not listening to the audience and doing what we want. So the fifth thing here, and we got two more things here, I think, is that they might actually, and it seems they're trying to maybe fix overland difficulty. Now, this is really interesting. The overland difficulty stuff is really interesting. Let me catch up before we jump into it. Let me catch up on these comments. If it's OP, we can't have that. If it's broke, we will look into it. Yeah. Yep. If it's OP, they immediately nerf it. If it's broken, they're like, yeah, we'll think about it. Yeah. Chrissy asks, what are they breaking now? Oh, nothing in particular, Chrissy. Zombie Jesus says they haven't fixed the new 2-team BG, not starting if both teams aren't 100% full after waiting for 5 minutes. Dude, I have had a couple of really, really long waits on the BGs, and I didn't know that. Yeah, I mean, Zombie Jesus, on that same note, like so that's the funny thing too about them being like, we're gonna fix the bugs. Like the group finder is bugged, the dungeon finder is bugged. Like, fix the stuff you're currently adding to the game. Crafty Pappy, man, how's it going? It's good to see you. Nani, thank you so much for setting me straight. Oh, cool, you're bussing, man. Okay, all right. Well, that's cool, man. Realish says, okay, awesome. I might still join and see what's up. I like it here. It's chill. Yeah, man. We try to keep it. We try to keep it pretty chill, man. We try to remember that games are about having fun, and we can be sweaty and everything else. without harshing everybody else's mellow, right? Nani's Nani's laughing. Not many, but there are a few working on hard mode and try for dungeons. Not many for gear runs. We have a lot of people willing to put together a group for that. Yeah, I'll also say, guys, to everybody out there, I try to put up runs in my own Discord, and I'm chopped liver over here. I can't get a group to fill. I just had to cancel a VSS hard mode that I was trying to do for Sunday, and because I couldn't get anybody for it, there's like 2 people signed up. I don't know what it is about me. I don't know if I don't know. I don't know. I'm harshing people's. I don't know. People aren't digging my trials, but I want to lead some trials. We got to find the people. So I need to do some pugs, I guess, and get some more people in the Discord. All right. Okay, cool. You're CV 1700 on EU. Zombie G says if the team isn't completely full, it won't start the match and just kick you out. Okay, or won't kick everyone out. Okay. Um, you mean you don't want a group finder for 4 tanks? uh, why would anybody want to run with you? Harsh, Chrissy. Harsh. Okay, what else we got here? So yeah, fixing Overland. Man, I am so excited about this. One of the things I've noticed going back and looking through some of this stuff is that on the studio directors like letters, they talk about story, and it seems like they think story is a really big deal. And I'm sure they've gotten feedback that it is, and I think it is too. But a story where you're like saving all of Tamriel for the 50th time or saving some group, and then I go over and I'm like thud, and the creature falls over. That if I want to read a story like that, not I'm not everybody, but a lot of people, and I actually think most people, even the people that are just hardcore into the story, you want to the whole point of playing a game and having the story is you're part of it. And ideally you would be able to make meaningful choices in the story. That's not really true. You are just kind of playing through the story as it's scripted. So, it is what it is. It's not ideal, but it is what it is. But even the people that are there for that want to still feel like a bit like you're part of the story. And when things just die when you hit them like 2 times, like that's not very fun. I will say, as I look through, whenever they announce this kind of stuff with the Overland, that there were a lot of people, a lot of comments that were concerned. They did not want it to be harder Overland. Now, I'm going to be honest. That was entirely perplexing for me because I assume people that are getting into the ZOS forums are not new players. I could be wrong, but I assume they're not new players. If you are a new player, 100% understandable. And just to make this really clear for everybody, when you start out and you're new or you're low level, you can die Overland. It's hard. And then it becomes eventually, as you get max level, it becomes like trivial, like not fun. It's so trivial. You can just murder everything, kill everything super quickly. It's not fun at all. There are situations where it can be difficult, guys. I'm not saying that. But there are people that have been playing the game for like years and still like struggle Overland. I'm not saying certain world bosses aren't tough and might not be difficult, especially if you're primarily into housing or some other aspect of the game. But man, if you've been like, that's wild to me. And honestly, I would say it's the game's fault too. I don't think it's the person's fault. If the game hasn't led you along a path to helping you get better, 100% the game's fault. I mean, that level of refinement though, where the game would lead you through and help you get better, is far beyond what we could ever expect from ZOS to do. So like, that's in La La Land, but it is wild that there are a lot of people that were very concerned about the difficulty increase coming to Overland. Let me see what do we got here. I'm working on becoming the ultimate tank. So soon I'll be able to tank your vet trials for you. Hey man, that'd be awesome. When if you get a realish, if you could do a couple of vet dungeons, man, you'll be once you kind of understand how to tank in vet dungeons, you'll be ready for trials, and you can just hop in, and I'd be glad to give you myself and plenty of other people in the Discord give you all the help. We'd love to have more tanks. I'll run with you night long as the time is right. I appreciate Crafty. Chrissy says, I'll have more time over the summer once school is joined in all the trials. Okay, awesome. It'd be good to see you again, Chrissy. They need to make vet mode for Overland. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what they're doing, Crafty. They're doing something like that. So they're gonna have an optional, like harder mode. It seems like. Let you make villain choices that add bounty and whatnot for story specific stuff. I mean, it's yeah, that's a great idea. I like it. Zombie Jesus says to make the story feel more real, you basically need to play with all white gear and no sets. Exactly, zombie. Yeah, yeah, and that'll make it feel like it'll still feel good probably, but it won't feel. You won't be too overpowered. You won't be too underpowered. Honestly, like I go into random normal dungeons whenever I queue, and I go in there on my whatever I'm like on an actual tank, and my only job is to hold taunt. I literally have characters that have random gear equipped for their sword and board, so I can taunt, and an ice staff for their back bar, completely naked otherwise. And I it's not a problem. I don't die. Like maybe you got to roll a few heavy attacks. Maybe I'm a little bit more skilled than the average tank, but it's pretty trivial. If you are in gear, you can just stand there AFK. If I'm actually geared up on a tank, I can just like I mean I hold taunt, but like literally could just let go of the keyboard and I wouldn't die. At least not for a very very long time, which is crazy, right? Like that kind of tells you that the content is too easy. And if people are struggling with that, like what is going on with them, and like do they, probably they're doing like I did. They're going in there naked or something. I don't know. Um, not again. I'm not trying to like say that. I don't know. I'm not trying to say anybody's like bad or anything, but I just it's perplexing to me. I mean, I've seen people. We've all been in the random normal. We have the one person who's like clearly mostly AFK, and they like do a few things, and then they get left behind, and their character's just standing there, and it's like, are you playing while like doing something else? Like almost certainly that's what's going on. Uh, Yeah, no CPU level 50. I almost died a few times on Overland. It felt like a scrub. Yeah, no. Realish, I have gone over to EU, for example, and started leveling up a character, and I died Overland, man. 100% it can happen. And that's a problem with the game doesn't scale correctly, and it doesn't feel good at certain levels. And if your gear's not right, but the thing is, you level so fast, it's hard to keep your gear up to date. And so it's just not well done. That's all it is. Yeah, man. Sorry, I got some other friends on Xbox too. Yeah, I just don't have one. I don't think Overland itself should be changed. But for instance, story content should have more difficult sliders. I used to play alone in those old vet zones, so I'm curious what harder Overland means. I just think there's a lot of like, I just think there's a lot of stuff they can do to make it more interesting and more engaging. Don't make it grindy. Don't make it where I gotta, don't make it Ashes of Creation, where I'm gonna get killed by a literal bird, like a literal crow, like kills my humanoid character. That feels stupid. Don't do that. Like Ashes, but yeah. But like it needs to be something. There's a lot of middle ground there. That's all I'm saying. YouTuber named Frostbreak. He goes through a zone 100%. Starts with zero gear. He has to steal gear for the start of each zone. I highly recommend watching his stuff. Okay, that's cool, man. Haven't heard of him. I'll check it out. Always playing and crocheting, Nani says. Let's talk about companions. Oh, dude, don't get me no. What do you want to talk about companions? Maybe we could talk about it. Okay, what else do we have here? Yeah, I think that might be it. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. We're 50 minutes in, guys. I'm like a tenth of my way through my notes here. Okay, let's talk about a bit of the bad. Okay, and I don't mean bad, but just again, just kind of the realism here. So in lieu, so Zoss has said that they're gonna fix, or they're looking at bugs, right? They've also said they're gonna add overland. They've also said, a handful of things. One of the questions that I had when looking at all this stuff, just a question that came to my mind is like, because I was looking through these past 2023, 2024, 20, I went back to 2020. Um, and I looked at some of their notes, and I also looked at some of the comments on it, and I looked at some of the stuff like Zombie Jesus has been saying, where he's like, "What about this? Oh, they said this before." In light of all of those past, studio directors' letters, can we really trust what they're telling us? Are they going to follow through? Are they going to do something in a way that's meaningfully true based on what they told us they're going to do? I think the answer to that, and I can provide some references here in a minute, is no. I don't really think we can. So I think there's reason to hope. I don't think there's reason to, you know, some people are going to be mad at me for saying this. I know that they're always on that copium and they just always rose tinted glasses. Everything's always good. But I really just don't think that there is any like factual basis for feeling that way or for thinking that they're going to. Um, I will say also, that they constantly like 2000 like they've constantly been saying like we're going to work on performance and stuff like that. And it does seem like hey, they've done something to really help PvP. The performance in PvE right now, I mean right now, like during the event is horrible. Horrible. Last night, like 5-second rubber banding. Is anybody else been getting this in your groups? And some of us are trying to do really difficult stuff where there needs to be no death. And how do you do a no death run when your character like rubber bands or DCs for 5 seconds? Like how do you do a no death run like that? It's pretty hard. So that has been that's one of the major problems that I don't see them looking to address anytime soon. And it's also one of those things where they told us for literal years there were people, right? We're all nerds, we're all gamers, and we're all some disproportionate amount of people who play games are also into computers and might do it professionally. And there were people who were professional data center people that worked with hardware and everything that were like, yeah, they need to update their servers. And everybody was saying they need to update their servers for years. And they're like, no, 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 the servers are fine. Servers, it's not going to improve in performance. And then they finally got to the point where they were willing to spend the money to update the servers because they felt like they needed to. And all they were talking about is how great it's going to improve performance in Cyrodiil. It's going to improve performance around events. Like, oh yeah. And they were like self-congratulatory and like, oh, look at this great stuff we're doing. And like, it happened to be during COVID and they were like, oh, we can't get these parts and it's, oh, poor us. And like, it's so bad, but we're trying guys and we'll get it fixed. But like, it's going to be so much better once we finally do. And they fixed the servers, they upgraded them, and it did help performance. And it's so hard to trust the company when they lie to you like that. And everybody's saying, and they're like, no, 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 you're wrong. And then clearly there's facts that like they were just gaslighting us. So that's one of those things, one of those examples of like, we just can't trust them. Like I want to, I want to, I want to love the game. I want to have only positive things to say about the game, but it is really hard when that stuff like that happens. And you're like, you're literally just gaslighting me. And so that can be a little bit frustrating. Zombie Jesus says, we hear you, which is what they always say. We hear you. We hear you. Yeah. Nani says, we haven't been able to have a meaningful prog in VDSR hard mode at all this week. Yeah. So Nani's in a VDSR hard mode group that actually cleared hard mode. But there is a bug in the game. They'll say, oh, it's not supposed to give you hard mode if you get these things. Well, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that on the achievement. And so they didn't get the achievement. So the group has had to continue to try to prog VDSR hard mode, and they haven't been able to do, good pulls and like actually get it because again, this 5-second rubber banding. If you're doing something you can barely do, doesn't matter if it's a normal dungeon, right? If that's the hard content for you and the game stops working for 5 seconds at a time, you're probably not going to be able to do that thing. And so, yeah, it's absolutely a problem. Crafty Pappy says, I've been DCing a lot since update 45. Yeah, well, part of the thing too is they're changing the UI and they're updating it or whatever. That's going to break all of our add-ons, and then they're relying on free labor of all those people that are making those add-ons to fix them, and it's a little bit frustrating. Chicken says, on PSN, when we couldn't get trifectas due to server issues, they told us, just run it again. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty tough for in-game. What they really mean, chicken, is go play another game. That's what they mean. You just read it wrong, man. You gotta read between the lines, chicken. What they're telling you is go play another game. And I think that is part of the problem. I think that is what has started to happen. The excitement is over, and the chickens have come home to roost, and it's now like a situation where it's like, yeah, there's issues. There's no excitement, for the new thing that's about to come out. Why don't I go look at another game? Why don't I go check something else out? And that's absolutely what's happening. Am I going anywhere? No, but I totally understand it. Now I have always played other games too because I spend a lot more hours in any given week playing games than most people can because it's literally my job. But for most people, it's like, well, I only have a couple hours, so many times, and like there's no excitement left, and I'm frustrated with these bugs now. I'm just going to go play another game, and that's what happens. Some people, Sniper says, some people spend so much money on moderators and PCs, even a desk and chair. Yeah, yep. I'm one of those people. Kelvar, well, I say that, guys. I can't recommend enough an Amazon Basics keyboard. Uh, sure, it might break, but it's only like $15. And so far, this one has lasted forever. Doesn't have to be Amazon Basics. Get a cheap keyboard. I don't know. I love mine. If you got an expensive keyboard you love, go for it. But I've had expensive keyboards, and now I'm like, no, I just get the cheap one. They're gonna break eventually, but all of them do. And I'd rather get the one for $15 rather than the one for 100. That's just. I mean, I know it's not as pretty, but if you can deal with the lack of bling. Kelvar says trial instances are hit and miss way too much. In my opinion, it's not uncommon to have random people kicked off the instance during the run night after night. Yeah, Kelvar, I don't know if that's really the instance, but yeah, it absolutely does happen. It's been happening since one of the updates. And that's, again, another one of those things where they say we're going to fix it. They say we're going to work on stability. They say we're going to do whatever, and things like they get better, but they also just get worse. And so it's just like, yeah. Chicken says my keyboard was $220 and I play on a controller. Yeah. Man, I got one of those Logitech. I used to really like Logitech, and their stuff works really well, but I use things too much for it to be, it just breaks on me. I've had so many of their mice break. I actually still have one because I like trackballs. But like this is like the expensive one, and the non-expensive one kept breaking on me. I also got a wireless keyboard that was super expensive. I mean, super expensive. It was not cheap. I don't remember how much it was because like Jay's 2 cents recommended it, and I was like, all right, man. And he's also like he's a big guy, so I'm also a big guy. I'm not as big as he is actually, but he's like well over 6 foot, and also quite large. And I just feel like I break stuff. I don't mean to, but I'm just like, I don't know, Hulk smash. I don't mean to. And I got one, and it lasted like a week, man. I was so pissed off. It lasted like a week. I had it upstairs, and yeah, frustrating. All right, Sniper. We'll catch you in a bit, man. Oh, thanks for letting us know. You don't have to, man. You can just go. But I appreciate you letting us know you're gonna step away. um, all right. What else? What else do we got here? Okay, so another thing, and this has long been the case, guys, is that ZOS, if feedback were a pill, the only way that ZOS can really take feedback is if you take that pill, that medicine that they need to hear, right? That feedback they need to hear, and you got to wrap it in some sugar. And then once you've wrapped it in some nice sugar, you got to dip it in chocolate. Once you've dipped it in chocolate, you got to smother a bunch of peanut butter on it. That's the only way they can take feedback. And it's something that they pride themselves on. And it's something that people that I have seen that have done stuff publicly have mentioned that no longer work at the company, but talked about like it seems to be their corporate culture that they pride themselves on ignoring people's feedback if it's not nice enough. And I have gotten feedback from other creators who are on their stream team and what have you that like basically you got to say it in the nicest way possible or they just won't listen. That to me, as someone who gets feedback from their community and it has worked also historically throughout my different points of my life or as in customer facing jobs, that is insane to me. The best, I don't care. Just give me feedback. Feedback is one of the best things you can do for somebody is give them feedback. And if you're customer facing, you have to know, and you should have, it doesn't have to be everybody at the company, but there should be people that have thick enough skin to hear the feedback in whatever way it's sent. Someone could yell at you and they could be like, damn it, Night Haro, like, constantly you're doing this, this, and this, and like you're overly critical, blah, 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 etc. And just give you like, just completely lay into me. I'm going to look through that if I can. And usually you can. I'm going to look through that. I'm going to go, well, I'm always going to look through it. I'm going to go, is there something valuable here? Is there something I could take from this? Even if they're yelling and cursing at me, whatever. And what oftentimes you'll find is like, oh, this person was mad. I had a situation once where somebody told me I cared too much about winning, okay? Because I was leading a new group through a trial. And I was like, what? That's hilarious to anybody who knows me because I go into bait groups and I don't care about dying and whatever. What happened is that I swapped with them because they were on a tank that was using they was in hard mode, or not hard mode. They were in veteran Rockgrove. They were on a tank that was using a bow because the bow met their prereq in the guild that I was running it in for PA. So they couldn't afford the PA ice staff, so they had the PA bow, and they kept dying because they had a bow, not an ice staff. An ice staff or a sword and board gives you, for those who don't know, a ridiculous amount of damage mitigation, and and so they were dying, and I was just like, okay, what do you guys want to do? In my experience, most people want to clear, so I was like, I offered it to them, and people wanted to clear, so I was like, okay, well, let's like just swap out, man, and like I'm sorry that was the case. It's unfortunate. It was awkward for me to find out they were using a friggin' bow. And we helped the group clear, and I did that because I figured the group wanted to clear. I didn't care. My sticker book was full. Someone told me that, that I cared too much about winning. Now, they wrote me this long, long diatribe about how, like, people will not care what you say, but they'll care about how you made them feel and all this kind of stuff. And just like, I was a terrible person. I probably saved it. It was super over the top. You know what? Most of that stuff, no bearing on reality. But you know what I did take from that is like, hey, in this situation, I probably could have, like, this person got really upset. I don't want them to get upset. I want them to have a good time. I mean, that's the whole reason I run trials. I try to remember like it's all about fun. And in fact, that's what I was trying to do, right? Like people like to clear in my experience, especially when they're new. They don't care how they get to clear. They just care. They don't care if I'm necro resing and like carrying the group through. They just care that they cleared, right? They don't care how it happens. And if we got like 3 people in the group that are carrying the rest of them, like they don't care, and they shouldn't. It should just be fun. But somewhere along the way, like when dealing with this person, I hurt their feelings. Right? They felt bad. They were probably kind of insecure. Right? Like but that's not on me. But like still, I want to try to be as understanding and as I just want everybody to have a good experience. I don't care if they have issues. I just want them to have a good experience, right? And so there's something I can take from that, right? Now this long diatribe about how terrible of a person I am, I'm not. Like, like I have been. But but I'm not, and like that stuff wasn't based in reality, and I just say, okay, cool, no big deal. That's in the past. I'm not upset, whatever. Doesn't bother me. This large, billion-dollar company with like hundreds and hundreds, maybe probably thousands of employees or 1,000 employees or more, whatever it is. I don't know how much like the greater company that sold for, how many employees they employ, but a lot of people, a lot of money, people making a game, making a lot of money. They can't take feedback unless it's like super nice. What? That's crazy to me. Crazy to me. And what it leads to is the game being worse. And it also leads to them not listening to anybody outside the company. And so it becomes an echo chamber. And I absolutely think, and that is detrimental to the game and to the business as a whole. And I think we can see that. Yeah, it's a lot of green. You have to wrap it in cheese. Rats like cheese. Oh, naughty. Oh my gosh. I also have heard from people that have been asked specifically by Zoz, whether on the stream team or not. Like they have asked these people for feedback, and then they've gotten it, and they've ignored it or not treated those people very well, and those people have been very upset. And that's also another problem, but that's kind of, I think I made my point already. All right, feedback. Buff the shit out of our blast modes. It shouldn't do half the damage of Spectral Bow with a travel time and a cooldown. Tell him, zombie. Hey, Guffy Soares, it's good to see you. Bo is the meta. All right, all right. Uh, I have upset my share of people too. Yeah, it happens. It happens. It happens to me. Like I stopped running like random normal dungeons for a long time too, because the crazy stuff I would see and like. I don't get upset about stuff, but I'll like I'll say something to somebody if they're running around, kind of being a jerk, like going AFK, like, hey, you like you queue with a group, and I'll say it like this. I'll like, hey, you queue with a group, like it'd be cool if you actually helped us and we weren't just carrying you through. And people get so mad. So I just like, all right, as a creator, I probably shouldn't do that because I shouldn't try to, but like, I'll just say something. And sometimes I'm not even trying to, just like that guy where you upset people and it's just like, okay, I don't know what to do. Zoss, thousands of employees, maybe 3 drunk interns. Nah, man, the 3 drunk interns are doing all the work. Uh, I've called my share of randoms asshat. Yeah. Uh, oh, yeah, Nani is right. She won't always sing through trials. We want singing. Well, and that's the other thing too. This is a little bit off topic, but like Nani and I, right? Like I'm IRL friends with Nani. Okay, not because we knew each other beforehand, but like because we were friends, right? If Nani needed something, like I would go. She lives across the country from me. If she needed me to, I would go help her out. Okay, that's the kind of friends we are. Nani and I have had issues where like she's messaged me. I hope you don't mind, Nani. I don't think you do. If not, this will be another thing that you're mad at me about. No, where she's like, "Hey, you were kind of, what was going on last night? You're kind of a jerk or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, was I?" I didn't mean to be. I wasn't trying to be. I wasn't upset about anything. It just, that's how I came off. And sometimes, not necessarily like, in different situations, I'm like, oh, yeah, man, I do sound that way. My lovely wife, who I adore, has told me at times that she's like, you sound like you're mad. You sound like you're angry. And I'm like, oh, I'm not mad. I'm hyped. I'm excited. Sometimes things just come off wrong and you don't mean to. And sometimes you have a bad day. That happens too. All the ZOS employees are working on that secret new MMO. Yeah, yeah. I don't really expect too much insane goodness coming out of ZOS and the. I've told you guys this before. Like I'm in ESO. I'm enjoying myself. I'm going to continue to enjoy myself. I probably won't get in the next game by ZOS. I don't think it'll be good, whatever it is. I don't think that whatever secret sauce they had, it's gone. The skill people they had have left, it seems like to me. Or are not in a position of leadership so they can positively affect outcomes. I'm sure there's some great people still there, but I don't think that they're in a position where they can positively affect outcomes. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed in everyone else. Yeah, there you go, Guppy. Uh, okay, what else we got? Um, so one of the things here too, I've talked about this, and I haven't figured out a good enough way to communicate it that it's gotten a lot of traction. But the things you need to know about a game, if it's coming out, if it's going to be good, there's only like 3 things you need to know. You need to know like what kind of game is it, right? Because the game type of game is going to matter if that's going to be for you. You need to know, and I mean like genre, I mean like style of game. Is it a 3D platformer? Is it a, whatever? You need to know what, uh, MMO, RTS, whatever kind of game it is, but also like the theming, flavor, etc. But all that is kind of like you need to know what the game is about. You need to know what company, like you need to know what company is making it and what their previous games were. Okay, like because if you have a company that's been making garbage for a long time and they're making a new game, chances are it's probably going to be garbage, right? And if you have a company that's been making really good games, but they're making different styles of game and now they're making a new one, could be a problem as well. There's only like 3 things you need to know. We won't go into them. It's outside of Bunny Cam. Um, it's outside of the scope. But one of the things that we've seen at ZOS, if a company has been, you need to know about the people there. Has that changed? Did the person who was responsible for making the great game leave the company? Is the person responsible for making the bad stuff still at the company? I will say at ZOS, we have no evidence of any changes that have happened in management outside of like a little bit with the community team, which I think probably was a very positive change. Um, but I think that, there's been no one has changed, right? Like the top management, and I mean the developers side, not just the business side, seems to have stayed the same. And so that, the other thing is like people can change, but the odds of someone who's like past middle age suddenly having a come to Jesus moment and doing something completely different than they've been doing for the longest time is very small. And so I don't think that we have a lot of any evidence. Actually, yeah, I was about to say a lot. I don't think we have any evidence that we've seen meaningful changes like that. We have seen a little bit of changes with the community team, which I won't go into uh, for reasons. But I don't think that there is any. Yeah, until we see that happen, I don't think that there is a chance that the company meaningfully changes directions. I think that Microsoft would have to want them to change directions. And I think if Microsoft wanted that, they would probably put someone in place that they thought more aligned with the direction they want the company to go. And I don't think we've seen that. Um, yeah, I just have a random note here. Some of the things that have happened, people have talked about, a company being good and bad. I don't know why I had this here on my notes. It was probably to spur some other thought, but I just have to myself that companies are amoral. And what I mean by that is companies are not immoral. They don't have like lack morals or like have bad morals, I suppose. They don't have morals either. It's just not a question for them. They do whatever, they go wherever the money is. And so, a lot Microsoft and ZOS before it was bought is a large corporation. They don't do things that are right and wrong. They do things that make money, and that's all they care about. And I think that leads to bad games. It leads to worse games than they would be otherwise. And so that's just one of those things. It's why I've been trying to promote indie games and want to continue to promote indie games, because indie games are the future of gaming, period. And because these large corporations, they're machines that don't care about people, they don't care about making good games or anything else. Guppy, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed in someone else is still making me laugh. Guppy Sorry says, we got a bunny cam, question mark, bunny, bunny, bunny. Guppy Saurus, next, I'll make you a promise. Next week, you can harass me. If I don't, I'll put it up on the Kofi. We'll see if we can get a bunny cam or maybe two. If we got two, I think we have more chances of seeing more bunnies. But I will look into what it will cost to get because we need a cordless cam because it'll chew the cord. And I will make below me to the side a little platform so that they can come up and I can give them treats. So maybe they'll come up here and look for treats. And maybe we can do something where like you guys can donate and I'll give the rabbits a treat or something like that. Zombie Jesus says, I'm waiting for the fantasy golden day of a company bringing back a WildStar. Okay. I didn't play it, man. But I feel you on wanting some of the old games to come back in like a new form. The Elder Scrolls is toxic. I never knew an MMO could be so toxic. Oh, it's not even that bad as far as some of them are concerned, Sniper. But yeah, it can be pretty rough, dude. I'm sorry. It's not you, it's me. Zombie, in quotes, Zoss. It's not you, it's me. Oh. They're about the money. That's the problem. Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think we've seen too along those lines. Like we've seen very clearly with a couple of games. I keep using them as examples because they're just the epitome. They're just perfect examples of Larian Studios with Baldur's Gate 3 and with Arrowhead with Helldivers 2. These are companies that are not greedy. Larian spent like the better part of a decade making Baldur's Gate 3. Do you know how much money they were making on Baldur's Gate 3 during that decade? Fuck all. Nothing. They had success in some of the earlier games, and they rolled that money back into making another game, a bigger game, a better game. And they finally hit the jackpot, mostly because of IP overlap. They are already were making really good games. And now what they're doing, he's talked about it. The Sven Vinka, I hope I'm saying his last name right, has said, like they put money away so that if the next game flops, the studio doesn't fold. They don't have to fire a bunch of people once the game came out. They do all these things that are like, yeah, they're reasonable. They take care of their people. People love working for Larian. I'm acquainted with people that are like trying to get a job with them, And they do all this, and they're not evil. They didn't screw us over with microtransactions. They didn't, they didn't do all these evil things that all these other companies that like, oh, when I talk to people both at ZOS and at like Microsoft who are associated, they act like, oh yeah, the game is like the game is just like one step away from like us having to pull the plug. It's so expensive for server time. It's so expensive for this, and yeah, we're just barely scraping by over here. And it's just like that's bullshit. Don't lie to me. That's BS. Like you guys make a killing on the crown crates and you use horrible monetization that are completely predatory towards people that are young, towards people that are like have developmental issues, so they lack impulse control, and people that are poor, because when you're poor, you're predisposed to making bad monetary decisions. That's just facts. And it's just like, the Larian put out, they're like, no, we're not doing DLCs. We're not doing microtransactions. This is what we got. Helldivers is $40 and you never have to spend another penny on the game. And they keep adding content. Meanwhile, ESO, and you know what? That takes servers because people play on servers. Meanwhile, ESO is like, oh, we can barely keep the lights on for, $16, $17 a month or whatever they charge. And also multiple times a year where you have to spend, whatever, 60, 100, whatever it is, I don't even know, on these packs and everything. And it's just like, I look at it as like an enjoyment per hour for me, like what else would I do? And it does still make sense. And I want game companies to make money. I really do. I really want them to make money, but we can clearly see with companies like Arrowhead and companies like Larian that they're already making money. If they're not making and they're doing decent monetization tactics that are like pro consumer. And then you have ZOS who's doing just horrible things and like, oh no, we just can't hardly keep the lights on around here. And it's sickening, to be totally honest with you. Late stage capitalism. You think ESO is toxic? Don't go anywhere near Blizzard and WoW. Yeah. Zombie Jesus says, yeah, Dota and any MOBA is cancer. Okay. Like No Man's Sky. Yeah, No Man's Sky. Yeah, No Man's, and a lot of people were pissed off with the way No Man's Sky came out. I wasn't involved. I didn't keep track of it or whatever. I can tell you that they've done their, like, even if they screwed up in the past, it seems like clearly they've tried to make good because the game's in a great spot. I absolutely recommend No Man's Sky as well. Yeah, thanks Crafty for bringing that up, man. Guys, drop some other games that are like that. Let's talk about some of the good games. Just we're not going to get off topic, but I would just let's mention them so people know. Alachino, hey, what's going on, man? BG3 is an excellent example of a company doing a game right. Yeah, yep. Yeah, absolutely. And their next game is going to be even better. Zombie Jesus said BG3 was in early access for like 3 years. People forgot about that. Yeah. Well, and they were cooking, man. But yeah, for sure it was. Crafty Pappy says 10 years of free updates. Yep, 100%. Luna, hey Luna, it's good to see you. I was a super fan of Larian long before BG3. Yeah, absolutely. Larian's earlier games were buggy, but they were like acceptably buggy. Just to be clear, and I say that I got a little bit pissed off with Divinity Original Sin 3. I still love the game, still happy with it, but you could get stuck during the second act, and I did multiple times and never really went back with my wife. But the systems of like combining spell books and the combat system with the with having like action points was amazing. Was much better than BG3 IMO, but they had to make something that was D&D flavored. Anyone that followed the Divinity series knew they were extremely passionate about their games. Yeah, absolutely. Zombie G said, I'm going to quit ESO if they add anything that looks like a paid battle pass. Okay. I am super worried they will take the Golden Pursuit and put a price behind them. Yeah. The Golden Pursuits and stuff like that all started out as a way for them to point to regulators and say, see, people can earn this stuff in game. Even though they kind of make it where it's pretty painful to do that. Hey, Adolfo, it's good to see you, man. How much life does ESO have? I started playing Throne and Liberty because ESO has nothing new. I think it has a lot of life still in it, man. I think most MMOs do. Yeah, I think it still has a lot of life. But if you've done all the content and you've done everything, like, yeah, for you it might not, but I think the game as a whole probably does. And there are still people that could start new, tomorrow. An ESO membership is $200 for 1 year. That's a ripoff plus most content and cosmetics you got. Buy them with crowns, and even crowns are expensive. Yeah, absolutely agree, Sniper. Oh yeah, Deep Rock Galactic is amazing, super fun. Yeah, another indie game. Left 4 Dead is still up on servers, and people still make free mods for it. Came out in like 2006. Okay. Luna says my biggest setback from BG3 are the D&D systems. To be honest, yeah, we're in agreement on that, Luna. Uh, okay. Oh gosh, what is that? Star Wars: The Old Republic is amazing for people who haven't played tons and tons of Star Wars story. You know what, man? I know someone who I think works on that, and I still haven't played it. I should go play it if nothing else, so that they don't think I'm a jerk. It needs better graphics. Yeah, 100% agree on that. Back to ESO. One of the other issues that they have, and I've heard this a lot of times from Mike Finnegan, and I don't know who else is of this mind, but they actually address this in their 2025 um, retrospective, or 2024 retrospective, or whatever it is. Um, okay, Nani. All right, we'll see you in a little bit for the trial. All right. Is that they don't seem to understand that it's not just about the loot, and that like we don't just do content for the loot, we do it because it's fun. I think that they are of the mind that you have to have loot, and like loot is the end goal, and that's why people will run content. And it's funny because you can see this in the Endless Archive. Grinding for those sets, man. Oh my god, it's such a pain. So many, and it comes in all weights. Such a hassle. And I think it's because like yeah, they want a time sink for people. They're not looking at like how do we make this so fun that people want to play. They look for it as like how do we get a time sink. And the reason that part of the reason they do that is because they have data. Companies have they have a lot of data on this stuff that the more you if you play a game, the more hours you spend will equate to dollars spent on it. Because if you play something for 8 hours or whatever a week, which would be quite a lot for the average gamer, you're more willing to spend money on it. And they think that, oh, if we just get them to play for the hours, the money will come. And they don't understand that correlation, yeah, correlation is not causation. They just don't understand that. Just because two things are correlative does not mean that one causes the other. And they've totally, like, they correlate and it works. But it also, the negative effects that they probably haven't studied is it makes you resent the game. It makes you resent it, and it makes people quit too. But they don't care about the people who quit. They only care and that didn't enjoy it, had a bad experience. Whereas if you have someone who loves their game and is really passionate about it, they do care about those people. And so and they feel and if they feel responsible for it. That's what you see at Larian, right? They just want to make good games. That's what you see at Arrowhead. They just want to make good games. And so that's part of like the soulless corporation kind of thing. Uh, hey, David. Guild Wars 1 is getting a 20th anniversary update this month. Okay. Dude, I've looked at Guild Wars, and I feel like the monetization is as bad, if not worse, than ESO. And I am done with games that have that bad of monetization. ESO is just grandfathered in for me. Would you agree or disagree? I would love to be wrong and have a reason to go check it out. Oh, you're saying Guild Wars 1. Okay. Uh, I was thinking 2. I'm sorry. So maybe we're talking about two different things. Let me see here. Catching up. That's good, Mike. Yeah, sounds super clean. Oh, thanks, Sniper. It's not cheap, man. This one's only like I don't know, less than 200. Rode Pod mic if anybody's in the market, but you also have to have an audio interface for it, so that's another 100. So a little bit more even. 1,300 hours in ESO since 2019. 0 crates bought. Nice, nice. Yeah, and like the thing is that I want companies to be able to make money, and I don't mind the idea of microtransactions. I just want I just want it to be fair and not like exploit like exploitative. That's all I want. I just don't think that ESO does that. I think that people should spend money on whatever they want. And if you're playing a game a lot and you want to get, they can't. It allows them to add more new cosmetics. I just want them to do it in a way that is like consumer friendly. It's not that I don't want that at all. That's why I don't mind Helldivers, right? Like you can buy stuff in there from their cash shop. I just want it to be just not to be like exploitative. The other thing is that, and this comes from if you have things that are earnable in game but you have to play, I am fine if I don't have money. And again, I grew up without a whole lot. Not dirt poor, but I didn't grow up wealthy. And if you can earn it in game, I am fine with working on having the impulse control to wait and earn that thing in game, and I get that one thing that I wanted. Now, somebody else might not have the time to play a game that much, or they might just have money. And if they can go buy that thing and another thing and another thing, if it's a good game and it's a good company, they're just helping that company make money so they can make more and better games. I'm good with that too. And sure, they have more things than me. I mean, that's real life. There are people that have more things than you, right? And I say that as someone who is now rich by any metric I would have used as a kid. When people owned a home as a kid, like an actual physical, like in the ground home, like not a mobile home, I thought they were rich, and it didn't matter if they were not rich. Many people I knew, but I thought they were rich because they had an actual like a home, like they didn't have to worry about blowing away in a strong gust of wind or a tornado when it came. But I'm fine with that. Like that doesn't bother me at all, and I think that's totally fine. I just don't want them to be exploiting people. Is the thing. And the other side of that is that the people that get exploited, sure, there are people just with money that are just buying things, and it's totally fine. But there are more people, or there are a lot of people, and any number is too many for me in a game, that are, it's basically like gambling. They have an addiction, they have a problem, it causes real life problems for them. They spend money they don't have. And it's often people that are poor, people that are less educated, that don't understand that the odds of them getting that great mount or whatever are like microscopically small. And those are the people. And why does a game need to be like that, right? Because the game could just not cause suffering for people. So it's like, man, this game is supposed to cause fun, causes some suffering. To me, it's like, well, maybe we can make a game that doesn't cause any suffering, right? Yeah, we can. Okay, why don't we just do that? Maybe let's just not be evil. Like, is that is that too much to ask? uh, Robert Miller. Hey, Robert, it's good to see you, man. I enjoy IA, although I don't grind it. It reminds me of a roguelike. Yeah, that's totally fine, man. I just feel like the gear grind a bit was like to try. I think it's part of their philosophy that we need to make things grindy. I mean, Michael, Mike Finnegan has said that in different words, but he's basically said that. But yeah, I agree, man. And you know what? I don't like IA, but I love that other people do. So I feel you. Joel said, I'm annoyed at Guild Wars 2 since I can't recover my old account and zero help from support. That sucks. Okay. Well, that's good to know. I won 2 assistants from guild contests, so 0 assistants bought on top of that. Okay. Average salary in the US is 40K. Every time I queue a dungeon, even as a healer, I'm waiting 20 minutes. I think dungeons in ESO or on Xbox are dead. They might be, Sniper. The queue also just breaks, man. That's also one of the bugs they have that's in the game. Chrissy says it is too much to ask. Well, thanks for answering that for us, Chrissy. All right. What else we got here? One of the things that I was looking at, I didn't really finish this thought, but maybe we can talk about it a little bit. We got time, not much. We got a little bit of time. Is the ZeniMax Online Studios their company values? Okay, what do you guys think? Like, and I'm not being like what they have on their company values, but I'm curious. What do you guys feel like are their company values? You guys got any thoughts on this? I might let you guys chime in on some. I got some stuff written down, but I wanted to see what you guys got. What are Zos's company values? uh, get money, get rich, or die trying. uh, Q is a tank on Xbox. Insta Qs all day long and night. Okay, there you go. Chrissy says they have values? Question mark. Yeah. King James, good to see you, man. Yeah, that's funny, man. I like sometimes the queue breaks though. If you're in a group and you queue as a tank, At least on PC, it doesn't always work, and it'll leave you in queue. And then if you kick the lead to the other person, it'll insta queue you. They about that money. uh, oh man. I feel like there's a lot of like 90s rap songs that could be like corporate values for like sauce. Probably newer ones too. That's just showing my age. Kelvar says value number one, make money. Value number two, make money. Value number three, make money. Yeah. What does Zoss do outside of ESO, the unlaunched New Secret MMO? They've made a couple of games that have done horribly, right? Like Redfall, right, and then Starfield. But yeah, if you ignore a problem, it will magically go away. That's one of their values, Joel. I like it. All right. Yeah, yeah. So one of the so you know how people will say like transparency is like one of their values. Instead of that, I think one of their values is marketing, not transparency. like so I've talked about this plenty of times before, and I'm going to keep saying it until everybody knows it, and they're like, "We're tired of hearing it, Night Haru." But there are you can break companies down into two types of companies. Okay, there are good companies and bad companies, sure. But what we're just going with that. Okay, that's not the two types. But what happens? What kind of is what happens with good companies? If I am making a good product that I am proud of and I think I'm selling it at a good value, and I have a great, I treat my people well, et cetera, et cetera. What do I need to do to promote my product? I just need to tell people about it. Like maybe I should do something to draw extra interest, like make it where you can have sex with a bear. If you want to do that, that's a little bit outside my personal comfort zone, but I'm not knocking it. That's fun. All you got to do is tell people about it. Okay. Now, what do you do if you're an evil corp and you're not selling a good product at not a great price and you don't take good care of your people? Well, you have to you deal with situations, right? Like you've got to manipulate people and make them think that you're a good company, or make them think that they've got a great product. Hey, you know what? We made a shitty game, but like let's just do like a really good cinematic. And it has nothing to do with the game, but it'll make people think it's a good game. Because and you know what? We don't even need to make the cinematic because we can't make good products. We'll pay some company to make a cinematic for us that'll sell our crappy game. That'll be great. Now, does that feel like kind of like you're lying to the customer? Yeah, but we're evil. We're an evil corp, so it doesn't really matter. And I think that is absolutely what ESO has done. Is like, yeah, and when you do that, you have an adversarial relationship with your customers. King James says, I don't know if I have ever queued without either being a full group or solo, so I haven't tested that. Yeah, I queue with my wife sometimes. That's kind of why I know, at least on PC. I thought that was Bethesda. Isn't that different? Bethesda's the parent company, man. Oh, you're talking about ZeniMax. Yeah, well, they're all owned by the same company. Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right, Zombie. Yeah, yeah. ESO is the thing they do. Yeah, and you're right. I'm kind of lumping them all together because it doesn't really, to me, it doesn't really matter. I know there's subtlety there, but Kelvar says transparency is not a value of Zoss from what I see. Yeah. Night, good companies promote bestiality. Clip it. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, anything for $1, anything for $1. That was one of my. I think several people said that. That was one of my corporate values for Zoss. Um, uh, do I want to say this other one? uh, nah, we'll just leave it. Okay, yeah, we went through that. So some notes here, and I have to. I'm just keeping track of time because on the hour I have a run. So I just want to, and I'm gonna keep streaming, guys. I'm not going anywhere, but I am gonna like take a quick break to grab some food, but that'll be like 2 minutes. I'll just kick you guys to an ad, but I'm trying to keep track of it because it's a Nani run, and Nani's runs run on time. If Nani ran all the trains and public transportation in the U.S., they would all run on time or early, probably early. So I looked at some of the studio directors' letters to kind of do research for this live stream, right? Because a lot of the live streams, like I do them because I don't have to, right? Like I do research for the videos and figure out if the game works the way it's supposed to, and try to make good builds and whatever. So for these live streams, I often just it's just kind of roll it in talking to you guys. But for this one, talking about this, I wanted to make sure that I looked into some stuff and I was talking from a based point of view. So I do have some. I did go look back at the last like 5 years, 4.5 of ZOS letters. Hey, what's up, B? It's good to see you, man. Um, Crafty Pappy says sometimes it starts with people putting their heart and soul in the game. Then they get big, get that big money, then they lose sight of what made the game good in the first place. 100%. This is the best moderately acclaimed MMO wizard game, and they can do no wrong. Yeah, yeah. Not a lot of competition, and a lot of companies don't even want competition. They just want to find their own niche. So that's a good point, B. Um, hey B, what are you running tonight, man? What do you got going on? For those who don't know, B is a streamer. I don't know if there's anybody else in chat that's a streamer. I don't have those the cool mods where I can like get it to give you a shout out. Not that it would help you a ton. B is oh B, you're over on YouTube, man. Do you stream on YouTube? Do you dual stream? I was about to say if I did it, it would be on Twitch, and there's like I love you guys on Twitch, but I've only just started doing Twitch, so there's not a large community over there. Much larger on YouTube. So, but yeah, man, tell us what you're running tonight, in case people want to drop in. B here is often raid leading when I've seen him in his runs. So sometimes, just like when I'm raid leading, they're a little bit low interaction. But B is very knowledgeable about the game. Knows stuff. Okay, 2020. So. This is a comment from someone. I think it was the first comment at the top that I saw. So their comment is the Introduce Fewer New Systems program will continue throughout 2021. And then they quoted this and they replied, well, that's one way to put the kibosh and a lot of speculation for the new chapter. No spell crafting, if I have to guess. So all the way back in 2020, we were looking towards 2021. We're looking for spell crafting. I just thought that was funny. And they were saying, I also want to point out that introducing fewer systems, they're doing that again, right? They said something pretty similar to that in this latest one. So I just want to kind of point out that like we've been here before a little bit with ZOS. Does it mean the same thing because they said basically the same thing? I don't know, but it is interesting that we've kind of been here before. Does Twitch still have the hot tub problem? I have no idea, Zombie Jesus. I don't even know what you mean by that. I'm so out of touch with all this stuff. Guys, I could be better at like actually doing the stream thing, but kind of my take on it, kind of what I try to do is I just want to be give as valuable information, hopefully be really entertaining as I can. And I just figure like all the other technical and other cool stuff that we could have, I'll eventually get it. But for right now, I just want to make sure that I'm providing the best value I can. And I don't know that all those other things provide that much value for you guys. And so I just haven't spent as much time on it, but I am slowly working on it, just FYI. No, I stream on Twitch. I'm just on YouTube right now. Okay. I don't know if streaming tonight, just leading some Sanity's Edge hard mode a bit later. Okay, cool, man. And then B, do you run your own guild too? Just out of curiosity, or are you over, or where do you run it usually? Zombie Jesus says, or Twitch girls just looking into a cam saying, "Give me money because I'm cute." Hey man, don't knock, man. Get that money. Learned a lot from CTB, Luna says, in the DPS Nerds Discord. Okay, cool person. Follow him. There you go. Yeah. Go check out B. Boss, what's going on? Okay, so that was pretty funny. Another quote here. This is still from 2020. This is from ZOS. Quote here. However, we also experience game instability for far too many bugs and very rough update launches. Okay, so this is in 2020 saying that they've experienced too much game instability, far too many bugs, and rough update launches. That was like four and a half years ago. They also said we kept our aggressive development schedule that in hindsight might not have been the right strategy. Another quote here. Each of our 4 update launches were marred by errors and problems of various types. Patches to fix those issues sometimes led to more problems. Obviously, this is unacceptable, and we will be addressing this with a team throughout 2021. I just want to point out that all 3 of those quotes that I pulled out are still the case. This time last year, remember when the PTS overwrote the live servers? Talk about an error, and then we couldn't play for for me it was like over a week. I had it worse than most, and I think there was some issue that I got lucky. um, but I just thought it was so funny that, and you know, they talk about like we kept our aggressive development schedules that in hindsight might not have been the right strategy. I just want to point out to everybody so that we're all on the same page with this is that when companies say that when they say that like hey like we kept to our aggressive schedule like and look at us we did it, do we care? So gamers care if something is on time. Like we'll complain, you know, we'll complain, we'll kick rocks, but do we really care? Do we care enough that it matters like are we still going to buy the product? No. The answer to that is no. Look at every game that is still in development. Look at Starfield. Starfield is never going to come out, right? Or no, Star Citizen. I'm sorry, Store Citizen. Store Citizen is like never going to come out like in a meaningful way, right? People don't care that really love it for the most part, and and that's an extreme example that's kind of terrible. That companies, I don't like it. I don't like what they do. But there's so many games where it's like we don't care if it's delayed. We just don't care. Baldur's Gate, Helldivers, whatever. We don't care if the content is delayed. We care if it's good when it does come out. And when they say though that like, oh, we kept to our schedules, do you know who does care if content gets released on schedule? The finance people. The finance people, oh, they care because that's quarterly earnings. We got to get that now. Money tomorrow is not worth, literally is not worth as much as money today. And so I don't care if it's ready, fix it up and just ship it out the door. And it's just so funny to read because it's really it's saying the quiet part out loud, that it really is just all about the money. All right, guys. B says, oh, okay, cool. B says, I host runs in random servers. I don't have my own place, typically lead most in Adra. Oh, okay. If we can, dude, I got to scare up some people, B. We'd love to have you come run it over, and that was the boss sometime, man. Let me know if you're ever interested. Crafty Pappy says, sometimes they just tell you what you want to hear. Yeah, yeah. Zombie Jesus says, I hope they love it. Some players spent $80K on a digital ship for a game that has not launched. Yeah. Yep. It's crazy. It's wild. It's upsetting. It's all of those things. Man, hey guys, I think we are at the point we're almost at 15 till, which means I got to get in group. I have a couple of other notes here about some of these some of these quotes. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to paste them in chat. I got some quotes here from all the way back to 2021. I'm going to copy them. I'm going to paste them in chat so you guys can check them out. I don't know if Google is going to let this happen. And this could be so long that it's like, it's going to be impossible to read actually from the stream. You're going to have to be in YouTube, I think. Oh, no, never mind. Google's like, nah. Google says I'm over by 1,500 words. Okay, so maybe we won't do that. Well, I'll save this note. Maybe we can talk about it at some future date. I'll list a couple of them because I can. Let me see. The data center hardware thing is kind of funny. We'll try that. I'm still 200 words over. Okay, the word limit here is not letting me have it. This one's funny though. Their number one priority besides like shipping Necrom, I think is what they said, was to make everything more make everything more stable, which I thought that was really funny. Let me see here. Oh my god, I'm still over by several words. Well, I give up. Guys, we'll be right back. I'm going to kick you guys to an ad here on YouTube, Twitch. You guys just hang out, and we'll be back. We're going to run some Sunspire. We're doing Hardbone Sunspire, healing that on the Arcanist today. I might need to change the thumbnail for that. And then after that, we've got Dreadcell Reef, and I'm Nightblade healing on that one. And then I think that's what we got planned for this evening. Tomorrow at 5 p.m. Mountain Time, 7 p.m. Eastern, I think we're going to get one of my friends, Lenny Linguini, a.k.a. Miles. He's going to be on, and we're going to talk about raid group optimization. And I think that's going to be really fun. And I think that, as typical, a lot of us in-gamers are like a patch or two behind, but I want to try to get us all caught up on what's going on with raid group optimization and just chat about that a lot. I also want to talk about it from the casual player perspective, which is obviously a lot of what we do, where we try to be optimal, but we also don't stress it, to the extreme in the That Was the Boss Discord. So Zaw score value, make an antisocial MMO. Oh my gosh, that's a good one too, Zombie. All right, guys, I'm gonna kick you to that commercial and or to that ad, and we'll see you in just a few. And I'm gonna pop up my working out screen in the meantime, and I'll be right back once I scarf down some food. All right, we'll see you guys in just a second. All right, guys. Sorry about that break. I'll be right back. Let me get the camera back on here. Yo. All right. All right. Oh no. Bitrate error. Looks like we're good. Cool, guys. Well, what we're gonna do here is oh, sorry, my cutting out there. What we're gonna do here, guys, I'm gonna kick you over to the new stream on YouTube, and for those who obviously are on Twitch, shouldn't have to do anything. I'll just update all that stuff. It should kick everybody over. It usually doesn't, but if you want to check out the next stream, guys, you might have to hit refresh. You might have to do something else to see if it, because it doesn't always kick people over. If you're on mobile, it's often a problem, but sometimes it'll also kick you over and say waiting for stream, and you have to like hit refresh or whatever. So just to let you know, I'm sorry, it doesn't work perfectly, but that's just how YouTube works, and it just breaks up the VODs. I've tried doing them all together and just continuing to stream on one, and that hasn't worked particularly well in the past because people don't know what all I'm covering if they're not broken into VODs on YouTube. People are just used to that. So that's what we're doing. All right, as we're loading in here, I apologize. Having ESO up and being tabbed out will cause the audio to be a little funky, but we're gonna end this and kick you guys over. Oh, I just remembered. B says, "Oh, I just remembered where I've seen you, Luna. You're okay. You're one of those does the awesome sword and board parses. Those are so cool. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's absolutely Luna. Yeah, Luna's cracked. All right, guys, I'm going to end this stream right now. And again, it should kick you over, and we'll see you in just a second.